Hi, I'm Vicky, the only daughter of a billionaire. Also the sole heir from the third generation of an English aristocracy. Growing up, I was always referred to as Nepo baby, but this is so unfair. If I had one sentence to sum up my entire life, it would be, well, that didn't go as planned. Before we start, please like and subscribe. I used to live the life of a princess. My house staff was on hand 24 hours to cater to all of my needs. And the biggest decision I had to make each day was to choose which car to go to school in. Still, I wasn't Regina George everyone wanted me to be. I was friendly to everyone and took both my education and my talent seriously. From an early age, I found a huge love for painting. You see, my daddy even invited global superstars over just so they could pose for me. Then, it struck me like a bolt of lightning when my daddy got involved in a messy lawsuit and ended up in jail. As a result, we had to kiss goodbye to everything. Yes, the mansion, the staff, but the worst blow was losing Brad, the butler's son, who happened to be my boyfriend.
My sweetie pie, I will collect the stars from the skies if it leads me back to you.
Well, a girl gotta survive, so I did what I had to. I sold all of my beloved clothes and jewelry, but holy cow, all those Pradas, Gucci's, and Tiffany's still weren't enough to cover a week in a 5-star hotel. Hey, use this. Miss, your card has been declined. Clearly you have insufficient funds and therefore must leave. Excuse me? The nerve, the ingratitude. I used to be one of their best customers. It wasn't as if I was the second inventing Anna or anything. So that's how I ended up here, under this bridge full of homeless people, desperately waiting for Brad to come back to me. In the meantime, at least I still had my paintings, which could be my ticket out of here, right? But Jesus, look! Those people kept taking them to smash cockroaches, while others even used them as firewood. Then, one day, as my belly was arguing with me over the lack of food, this charity group showed up. They came to distribute food to the homeless. I scrambled to my feet to ask for some, but was stopped by this woman. Look at your flashy outfit. You can't take food off the needy. How inappropriate. No, I'm homeless too. Just then, a whiff of Le Labo Santal 33 filled the air, and a luxurious lady emerged from the crowd. She waved off the mean woman, then peered at my drawing.
Did you paint these?
Yes, I've been painting since I was a child. I've painted everyone from Taylor Swift to Ronaldo.
Impressive indeed. I'm Diana, a widow of a great fortune. How would you like to come and live with me in exchange for sharing your artistic brilliance in my daily portrait?
I was speechless for a few secs, then agreed right away. I was obviously destined to be rich, so it seems I couldn't escape my fate. I arrived at the villa, thinking that this was awesome and I'd finally landed back on my feet. But then, the euphoria was replaced with a gut-wrenching blow when Diana introduced me to her fiancé. Brad? Right after the awkward introduction, I pulled Brad away and confronted him. How could you cheat on me like this? I'll tell Diana.
We broke up. Besides, having exes is normal. If you tell Diana I'm your ex, then it's you she'll throw out, not me.
I couldn't believe the cheek of this guy. And you know what? We never broke up. I just couldn't spend another moment stuck with this jerk. So I decided to paint Diana a portrait as a thank you and then leave forever. Only, she really loved my painting. Thinking back to those glum days under the bridge, I realized, well, Brad was here, but so was a warm bed, steady meals, and someone who genuinely loved my art. This place was big enough to avoid him anyway, right? So far, so good. Well, until one day. All I did was ask the maid to get me a clean paintbrush when a guy got all grouchy with me. You have legs, do it yourself. Who are you to talk to me like that? Soon to be the owner of this mansion? Any problem?
Leave her alone. It's what the staff are here for anyway.
The room suddenly bristled with tension as Brad and that guy exchanged hostile looks. Then he coldly walked away. Suddenly, Brad pulled me out to a corner.
Vicky, sorry for hiding it from you, but I have no feelings for Diana. I'm here to spy on her as she's the reason your father's in jail. I'm here to find evidence and help him regain his honor.
Wow! What?
I know, it's hard to believe, but I need to cooperate with me. That dude is Charles, Diana's son. He'll try to mess with me by all means, so we need to stop him before he does.
It made sense now. I knew Brad loved me really and wouldn't pick some old woman over me. Then he told me his plan. He'd continue seducing Diana and persuade her to get me to tutor Charles, while I had to befriend Charles to get information out of him. I felt kind of nervous, but the chance to clear Daddy's name left me with no doubts. However, Charles wasn't the approachable type. He was so curt and rude. And no matter how wide I flashed my friendliest smile, I always heard no more than 6 words from him. Let's do some still life painting today, shall we?
You do what you want.
I was trying my best to teach him, but he doodled on the page and always came up with the worst drawings I've ever seen. Then one day, he suddenly insisted we go outside for some outdoor portraits, and he'd to draw me. So my plan did work! Yes! I excitedly stood in the bay window and did an elegant pose. It was sweltering standing there, but I endured it for the art. But it had been 4 hours and he didn't seem to have finished. I couldn't stand any longer, so I rushed to him and dropped my jaw to see what his canvas was. Totally blank! I am furious! Calm down, Vicky. Perhaps Charles was like an onion, with multiple layers waiting to be peeled away. So I decided to take a more psychological approach. I asked Diana for Charles's photo book and saw a family photo. This must be Charles's father. I'd paint it, in the hope this thoughtful gesture would move him somehow. On Charles's birthday, I happily gave him the beautifully framed painting. Unexpectedly, upon seeing that, his face darkened, and he had this fiery look in his eyes. He furiously threw the painting to the ground and yelled at me.
Disappear! I can't stand you!
What the? Fine then! Why is this guy gotta be so rude? I spent all week on that painting. What a psycho! I was packing my bags when Diana came into my room. She explained that the man in the photo wasn't Charles's father, but her ex-boyfriend. Charles's father died when he was little. Then her ex was the one who had taken care of Charles since then.
To Charles, he was the world. That kid was even closer to him than me. But then we broke up and he vanished without as much as a word. Charles has been hostile and distant ever since.
I didn't know behind his rocky exterior was such a bitter truth, so I immediately found him. Charles, I'm sorry.
Go!
I might look terrible now, but I was once my father's princess. He gave me everything I could ever ask for, except his time. My parents divorced early, and I was left alone. Just like you, Charles. This loneliness, this yearning for a family bond, I share with you. Seeing his hand loosen, I continued. My intention was never to belittle you. All I wanted was to bridge the chasm of misunderstanding between us. Charles still stayed silent, but his facial muscles had relaxed. And when his gaze met mine, he slammed the door shut. So I decided to stay. And even though Charles continued being a grouch towards me, he stopped with the pranks. I also noticed that when Charles focused on something, he turned into a different person. He always stuck his tongue out, which looked adorable. Watching Charles drawing as if he was fighting with the paper, I came here and guided him, but suddenly our eyes met. He has such dreamy eyes. Oh no, Vicky, less of that. You were here to prove my daddy's innocence and get back to the old life. As for me and Brad, we had to make do with grabbing moments together when we could.
When this is over, we can vow to be together forever and have a wedding more lavish than any of the Kardashians. My love, you must be patient. We will be together properly soon.
However, when everyone was around, Brad kept up the lovey-dovey pretense with Diana. I knew it was totally fake, but I couldn't help but feel annoyed. I couldn't just sit there smiling like everything was peachy. So, after I finished the painting, I followed Brad, intending to ask him what the next step was after I successfully approached Charles, when I spotted him sneakily talking to someone.
Hey, Pop. Yeah, Diana's like putty in my hand. Vicky complicated things, but I came up with a plan to deceive her. I thought that little pest would be long gone by now, but seems Charles hasn't kicked her out. Any ideas?
The fury whirled like a tornado inside me. I instantly charged at him and smacked him in the face.
What? You?
Wait till Diana finds out about this.
Oh yeah? If you challenge me, then be prepared to lose. Say hi to your bridge pals for me.
I immediately found Diana and exposed all about Brad to her, but her face suddenly turned serious.
I knew you'd say anything to divert from the truth, but I know you stole money from me. The maid found it in your room.
Stole? What? What are you talking about? Then I looked at Brad and saw him smirking. That conniving mastermind. Before I could try and defend myself, a staff member hurried in and passed Diana a letter. Charles was missing! Everyone was freaking out and refused to hear me out, and the chaos left me powerless as my stuff was dumped outside the villa. I ended up right back where I started and had a complete meltdown. Worst of all, I was worried about Charles. Was he home yet? The next morning, I was trying to sketch something when out of nowhere, Charles appeared. He handed me the keys to this small but cozy apartment and told me it was all mine. Stunned and grateful also. I couldn't stand but hugged him hard. By the way, where did you go?
Nowhere special. Felt suffocated, so I left.
This time, Charles was like a different person towards me. He visited me every day and even helped me sell my paintings. Over time, my feelings for him grew and we started dating. Our relationship was filled with warmth and affection, and every moment spent together felt like a dream come true. Only, I felt so guilty keeping my dating history with Brad a secret from him, but the fear of losing him loomed over me. If he knew I'd approached him with hidden motives at the beginning, he'd despise me forever. But I had to at least tell him something. Be careful around Brad. I don't think he's a good guy.
I know. He's a gold digger that's part of a romance scam ring, targeting rich women to blackmail them.
Wow, Charles sure knew his stuff. Hang on. Does it mean that Brad intended on blackmailing me too, when I'd been rich?
I'm going to expose him at the wedding ceremony. Come with me.
Today is D-Day. The grand hall was drowned in the ethereal glow of lights. Standing in the center were Brad and Diana, ready to exchange lifelong vows. All eyes were fixed on them. Out of a sudden, the whole hall went dark, and an anonymous face appeared on the screen behind them.
Tonight, we bring the spotlight on our groom. Unbeknownst to many, our Brad Thomas is, in reality, Jackson North, born and raised in Pennsylvania by his father, Richie North, the ringleader of scams to trick rich women into marriage and con them out of their fortune.
Then the evidence of Brad being affectionate with innocent victims started appearing on the screen. After that, the spotlight immediately stopped on Brad, who was about to flee the scene. Diana roared in anger, rushing there right then, and flung a glass of wine right at his face. The whole crowd started to murmur.
Hang on, everyone. The party's not over yet. Check your menus to reveal the other accomplice.
Everyone frantically checked, but then looked bewildered to see all the menus were empty. All except for mine, where there was a photo of me and Brad. So since the beginning, Charles already knew about my relationship with Brad? And he thinks I'm Brad's accomplice? I turned to Charles, but he immediately let go of my hand.
We're over.
This whole time, Charles played me like a hurtful trick, and even thought me capable of something truly awful. I messaged him to meet me by this lake where we used to go. It had been 1 hour, but he hadn't shown up. This might be the final nail in the coffin of our relationship. Just as I was about to let go, I saw him trudging towards me. Charles, listen to me. I'm not with Brad. I tried warning you about him.
I heard the whole sneaky conversation of you two. Your love words and your filthy plan on my family. Then my private detective sent me those photos of you both together that proved me right.
You hired someone to spy on me?
Not you, Brad. That's why I left home. I thought you were my friend.
And I thought we were more than friends. Brad and I did date in the past, but that's all. He tried to use me just like he used others. My feelings for you are real. You have to trust me.
So?
I didn't know about the scam. I'm sorry I ever fell for Brad's lies and first approached you. He told me your mom was involved with my father's downfall, and I guess I so wanted my daddy to be innocent that I stupidly believed him. Charles didn't utter a word. He just turned around and left. But hang on! May I ask, why didn't you publicize my face in that picture with Brad?
I just wanted you to know what it felt like to be hurt, but I couldn't bear to see you hurt either. Let me go. I need some time.
Then he left me there, watching him disappear in the dark as the world around me collapsed. After the rain, the sun finally shines again. The police finally caught up with Brad and his dad and locked them both up. Diana tracked me down and apologized to me. She asked me to go back to the villa and paint for her, but I refused. I can't keep on being so trusting and relying on others so much. It's time for me to believe in myself and stand on my own 2 feet. And more importantly, I couldn't face him anymore. Hi, it's Vicky again, but in a fancier version. After all the sweat and tears, I finally made it as an artist. I was just chosen to collaborate on an important art project with this big company, and my life would turn a new page upon opening this door.
Charles!